We now welcome in, for Arizona State, head coach Charlie Turner-Thorne and student athletes Sophie Bruner, Quinn Dornstadter, and Kelsey Moos. Again, Arizona State won their 20th game last night over Michigan State in the first round. And Coach, if you'd like to open up with a statement, and then we'll take questions for the student athletes.
Sure. Is Steve off on Saturdays?
Yeah.
Okay.
He big timed us today.
Well, we're excited for the opportunity. First of all, I just want to thank everybody at the University of South Carolina. Everything has been fantastic, and we really appreciate the hospitality. So I neglected to do that yesterday. So thank you to everybody here. And, just quick turnaround here to prepare for a great team. And as I mentioned yesterday, they are very different than last year's team. But, I guess in some ways just obviously a top 5 team that is really good on both sides of the ball. So we're excited. I think if we can just build on yesterday's effort, I was really happy with our team defense. I thought we worked hard. Our 3 seniors really set the tone defensively. We probably could have controlled the boards a little bit better, and then on the offensive end, just being aggressive and having that great balanced attack. If we can do that, I think we're going to play some great basketball tomorrow night.
Questions for the student athletes, and if you wouldn't mind identifying yourself before your question, we'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Chris Deering, Arizona Republic. Any of you 3 can answer this because you all played against South Carolina last year. I know none of the 3 of you finished the game, but what do you remember about that game and
Actually,
watching?
Quinn finished it, but with 10 stitches in her in her chin.
Oh, okay.
So, if anybody wants the injury report on that game.
What do you remember about that game, and then watching South Carolina on tape for this year, what have you seen different?
We haven't had a chance to watch too much of them yet. We just had our film meeting earlier today, but I think, again, like last year, they're a very talented team, very athletic, and they have a lot of players that are very good scorers, and I think that just like last year, it's going to be a really exciting game and a really fun matchup for us.
Sophie or Kelsey, anything to add?
Yeah, just, going off what Quinn said, they're a great team. They're very well coached, and they're going to be ready for this. Obviously, they're on their home court. But I think, like Charlie said, if we give the same effort we did yesterday and even maybe more, I think we'll put ourselves in a position, to be right with them the whole game.
Jeffrey down front.
Jeffrey Collins with the Associated Press. Kelsey, the South Carolina players actually called last season's game one of the most physical they played in. Did you feel the same way, like it was one of the most physical games you've had? And what do you remember about last year's game?
Yeah, absolutely. It was obviously very, very physical. We're both 2 physical teams, 2 aggressive teams going head-to-head. So it was a great battle last year. They came out on top last year. We know after that game we could have done a few things differently maybe to take that game last year. But this year, it's a new team, new year, and we're just really looking forward to the matchup.
More questions for the student athletes? Chris?
On that sort of same note, how do you think you guys have changed since last year? I know your starting backcourt is gone, so how are you guys different from that game last year?
Obviously we're very new compared to last year. We have a lot of underclassmen, 5 freshmen, 3 sophomores, and 4 seniors. And I think they're very ready now. In the beginning of the season, I don't think I could have said that about our underclassmen, but I think now I think they've seen everything that they're ever going to see. Our conference does a very good job of getting us prepared for this moment, and they're definitely ready. And they showed that yesterday. They were very aggressive in everything they did. They're playing very confident right now. So, we're different last year in the sense that we don't have as much experience, but I think, through our leadership, I think we can help them throughout this game, and I think they're very ready.
Ben?
Ben Briner from the State Newspaper. They're playing, obviously, without their 6'5" center defensive anchor. How does that kind of change them as a team in your eyes?
It takes away from their height a little bit, but I don't think that it's going to affect them all that much. We've seen them the last couple games without her, and they've still played very well. So we're not taking that as like an advantage to us or anything like that. We're looking at them as the exact same threat that they were before they lost their player.
Any more questions for the student athletes? All right, thank you for your time. And we'll now open up for questions for the head coach. Chris?
Charlie, this is obviously a road game for you guys. How do you prepare your team for what they're going to see tomorrow? I think South Carolina led the nation in attendance for 3 years in a row. How do you prepare them for that?
Well, we've had good experience, and I do think it's a great question because our ability to sort of master the environment is going to be critical for our ability to be successful in the game. So if we can handle the environment, I think the rest is going to be really good. Fortunately, in the Pac-12, we play, Maples Pavilion and, in Corvallis and at I still call it Heck Ed, but Alaska Airlines Arena, wherever at Washington. Packed crowds. We've played in Rupp Arena with 17,000 fans and got an overtime win there. Without one of our starting guards. So, I think this team has been pretty battle tested with the crowd environment. So I'm confident that we'll be fine. And
Jeffrey?
again, I think to Sophie's point, their leadership's going to be huge because poise in a game like this is everything. But we've had a lot of great experience with hostile crowds on the road, and we've had success and we've come up short. And I think this team has learned from it.
Charlie, with the short turnaround and dealing with a team in South Carolina that's trying to kind of find a different lineup and balance, does that increase the difficulty a little bit in trying to plan for them? Because Dawn's trying several different things to try to find out what's right, and it's hard to create a game plan that may counter against something she's never done before?
Well, I agree with Quinn in saying that, they really, you would think, oh my gosh, Coates is out, woohoo! But, they really don't appear to have missed a beat. I mean, they won the SEC championship game without her, looked very formidable. And, I think it does hurt their depth. And obviously, she was their best rebounder. So there are some things that they're having to kind of make up for. We've had some of our best teams ever in the history of ASU women's basketball, and we have a great history with small ball. So sometimes small ball scares me more than a couple of Twin Towers because I know how great we've been with small ball. So, I think, again, great team, well coached. I do think, I've had this happen to me going into the NCAA tournament, and, we did it in the conference tournament without our starting point guard leading scorer, and there is a transition there. I think that's very valid, but it appears that they've kind of got that core seven that really know their roles and are playing very well for them right now.
Out in the back with Jeff?
Coach, if you, at the beginning of the year, if somebody had said to you, you're going to face South Carolina in the NCAA tournament, would you have expected it to be somewhat later than round two?
Yeah, this doesn't feel like a second round game, except that we're on their home floor. And I don't want to overstate it too much, but obviously, finishing fifth outright in the Pac-12 conference without being at full strength and having an 18 strength of schedule, we were very surprised to be sent here and be an 8th seed. So it feels like a Sweet 16 game. It feels like a regional round game, except that we're on their home floor. So that'll feel a little different. Might not feel the Southern hospitality tomorrow. But no, I do think this is going to be, a great matchup, and any game in the NCAA is fun. But I don't know. I would think maybe for people here that it seems like a regional game, for sure.
Down front to Ben.
Coach, one of their players kind of said that she saw a lot of what they did in what you guys do. Do you feel like your teams are similar in that way?
Well, Dawn Staley teams are tough. They're tough. I mean, they just, and they're gonna work. And I think Sun Devil teams are tough, and they're gonna work. And I don't think either team is really a veteran team, So we're kind of, I'm sure Dawn's had her days where it's like, and we've had a few days where like, you're not tough enough. But I do think, they're a program that prides themselves on, playing great defense and being really tough, outworking you. And that's certainly us too. So in that sense, and that's just me talking, I don't, that's that would be my perception as well, yeah.
Jeffrey?
You kind of briefly mentioned last season's game and how tough and Quinn stitches and everything, but how did your team come out of that game? How tough was that game?
Well, do you guys know what happened in the game?
I'm not familiar. I must say I'm not.
Oh, okay. Does anybody want to know? Yeah, okay, well, I think it was end of the first quarter, beginning of the second quarter, Wilson got Quinn with an elbow, and she went down and she cut her chin open. No foul. So she had to go out. She was out probably till halftime, and she had, I think, about 10 stitches in. But she was able to come back and play. And then I think it was early in the third quarter, Kelsey dove, got a loose ball, and then the fifth-year senior, Sarah, the kid who transferred from Virginia, slid in late on her, kneed her in the head, and no foul. Grabbed the ball, got a run-out layup. And Kelsey was out for about 2 to 3 weeks. And then towards the end of the game, about 5 or 6 minutes, I think, to go in the game, this was just a fluke thing. It wasn't really a contact, but Sophie they were both going for the ball. I think it was with Wilson, and they were both just going for the ball, and Sophie just landed wrong. They might have hit a little bit, but it was incidental, or they didn't hit at all, and she dislocated her ankle, and we lost her for about 5 to 6 weeks. So it was tough to lose that game. It was a lot tougher to just lose. That was a really tough stretch for us without those players for most of December. But none of it was malicious or anything. It was just a hard-fought game. And it was, they didn't have anybody go out, so surprises me that they said it was so. But I mean, obviously 2 top teams playing, and it was exciting and kind of a tough finish. They called it a touch foul to decide the game.
It was less than a second.
Yeah, and our little 5'7" guard just standing there on Wilson here. Yeah, but I mean, that's just basketball, and they took advantage, and she made her free throws, and so it was last year we were on track to meet them again, possibly, but it didn't happen. And so this year, I feel like if we had made them again last year, it would have been some great storylines. I mean, this year we're just different, and obviously, they've been a lot more consistent than us and have a lot more experienced returners than we do. So, but we're excited. I think we're, again, if we can continue to play disciplined defense and work as hard as we did yesterday and share the ball, be aggressive on offense and have that balanced attack, I'm excited about how we can play tomorrow night.
Any more questions for Coach? Thank
Thank
you very
you.
much for your time.